Welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 323 of the podcast. And on this episode, I'm talking about quarterbacks Tua Tagovailoa and Jordan Love getting big contract extensions. Two young franchise quarterbacks have gotten big contract extensions. Tua Tagovailoa with the Miami Dolphins, 4 years, $212 million, $167 million fully guaranteed. Jordan Love with the Green Bay Packers gets 4 years, $220 million, $160 million guaranteed. Both are coming off career years. Tua threw for 4,624 yards to go along with 29 passing touchdowns and a 69.3 completion percentage, with Jordan Love throwing 4,159 yards, 32 touchdowns, and a 64 completion percentage. The feeling I get is that more people are mixed on Tua as a franchise quarterback, and I think the only reason to be wary of him is his health. But other than that, I feel like he's delivered on the football field. I don't get being upset with him because the Dolphins have given him not only Tyreek Hill, but also Jalen Waddle. Yet, he has been given elite talent around him. He's taken full advantage of that. I don't know if he'll ever feel like an MVP level quarterback, but I'll say this. I could definitely see Tua Tagovailoa winning a Super Bowl with his current situation with the Miami Dolphins, with Mike McDaniels, and I think Tua would be a big reason why that team won a Super Bowl. Jordan Love was really good, maybe even great last season, almost getting the Packers back to the Super Bowl. This is a situation where people need to slow their rolls. It's one season. You need to do it for a few more for me to consider you the elite of the elite. And I'm sorry, I've seen this before. Just last season, everyone was super high on Jalen Hurts, and he didn't play like the guy who led the Eagles to the Super Bowl a year prior. And no one is super high on him now. Guess what? I still think he's a better quarterback than Jordan Love. I would still take Jalen Hurts over Jordan Love. When it comes to the Green Bay Packers, I just feel like people love the narrative around that team, that they go from one great quarterback to another, that they go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and now they're going from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, and we're just supposed to believe that's what's happening without waiting for it to actually happen. That's how I feel is what's going on with this situation. We're just anointing Jordan Love as the next Brett Favre, the next Aaron Rodgers, because that's what happens to the Green Bay Packers. Well, sometimes these situations go sideways, so why don't we wait and see what actually ends up happening with Jordan Love throughout his career. I understand looking at last year's playoff success and being super high on Jordan Love. I just think we need to give it more time, and I don't like to look at this position of the quarterback and say, I only base it off of playoffs. I don't think that's the way you should view this position. I think we should view it by consistency. If Jordan Love can become a guy who regularly throws for 4,000 yards and 35 plus touchdowns, I will view him as the best of the best. But he has to do that for at least 3 seasons in a row before I'm willing to put him in the top 5 conversation or top 10 conversation. Louis Riddick on ESPN's Get Up is talking about how Jordan Love is the best quarterback in the NFC, and I just think that's a ridiculous perspective. He is not as good as Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has proven year in and year out he is one of the best quarterbacks in all of football. What I think is unfair about these media personalities rating quarterbacks against their Super Bowl wins is look at the era that we're living in right now. We are in the era of Patrick Mahomes, who already has 3 Super Bowl titles and is probably going to get a few more before the end of his career. How are we supposed to look at guys like Tua and Jordan Love and say that they have to win a Super Bowl to be thought of as super elite quarterbacks? I just don't understand that perspective. It's like when Tom Brady was playing. Yes, a few guys got in there and won Super Bowls like Peyton Manning and Ben Roethlisberger, but there were some very good, close to Hall of Fame quarterbacks who never won the big game because they were playing in the era of Tom Brady. I'm sorry, I refuse to live in a world where Patrick Mahomes is the only elite quarterback and all the other guys who don't have Super Bowl titles are bad. That just seems ridiculous to me. I think Joe Burrow is on that level, obviously. Josh Allen is on that level, obviously. And so is Josh Allen. And I use my eye test and watch these guys play year in and year out, be the best player on their team. And that's something that Jordan Love has to do before I talk about him with those guys. Just because he went to the NFC title game one season does not propel him over some of those guys. I do want to get back to Tua for a minute because I do feel like, again, people are down on him because of the situation he walked into. Guess what? He walked into the Miami Dolphins, a team that has been bad for a while now before he got there. I mean, they're a team that really hadn't had a really good quarterback since Dan Marino. Yes, there were some years where they were competitive with Chad Pennington, but they never had a franchise quarterback since Dan Marino. And here comes Tua, and yes, the team has done right by Tua Tagovailoa. They have done everything you should do when you have a young quarterback. They have picked an offensive-minded head coach who looks like he's going to put up big points numbers every year while he's the coach. He's the play caller. He looks like a genius at some points in games. And they gave him the clear number one receiver. I mean, Tyreek Hill was just voted by NFL players as the best player in all of football. Now, is it ridiculous to call Tyreek Hill the best player in football ahead of Patrick Mahomes? Absolutely. But he's in the conversation, and the Dolphins have given that to Tua. I could look at Jordan Love and say that he walked into a great situation. Matt LaFleur is an underrated head coach. He's gone 13-3 3 years in a row before Jordan Love was his quarterback. And the year before, Aaron Rodgers had a down year. He was 13-3 3 straight years. He's a very good coach who has yet to win a Super Bowl. But the Green Bay Packers have been one of football's most consistent organizations, and Jordan Love got to sit behind what I believe to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I was pleasantly surprised by Jordan Love last year, and he got better as the year went on, and he almost beat the 49ers, and if they had beaten the 49ers, they probably would have made it to the Super Bowl over the Lions, but that didn't happen. I think this is a wait-and-see thing with Jordan Love. I'm not saying he's not going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I just find the let's anoint him right now thing kind of annoying. I think they had to pay him this kind of money because that's what you have to do. Even after one season, when a quarterback plays an elite level, you have to give him the money. And the Packers, what other options do they have other than paying Jordan Love? Yes, I do believe they believe in him, but I don't know if they view him as this great franchise quarterback that the media has anointed him as. He was great in that playoff game versus the Dallas Cowboys, but him being that good in that game does not make him better than Dak Prescott. That's the type of thinking I'm against when it comes to rating these quarterbacks. Yes, I know that the quarterback gets all of the glory if the team wins, and we blame them when the team loses. But listen, it's after one season. Now, if Jordan Love had won the Super Bowl and beaten Patrick Mahomes, I'd probably be on the same side as everyone, like Louis Riddick. I'd probably be saying that Jordan Love is the best quarterback in the NFC because you can't argue against a guy who won the Super Bowl, but I can argue against a guy who didn't even get to the NFC title game and has only started one season. In my opinion, Jordan Love is closer to Tua Tagovailoa than he is to Patrick Mahomes. Both quarterbacks are probably in the top 10 right now. They are guys that you'd want to build on if you're franchises. They are guys who are going to continue to improve. I don't think we've seen the best of either player, and I'm really high on both of their futures. That's what I'm arguing against here. I'm high on Jordan Love. I think he's going to be really good for the Green Bay Packers. Do I ever think he's going to be an MVP level quarterback? Probably not, and that's how I feel about Tua. I think they're going to be consistent. I think they're going to be Pro Bowl level quarterbacks. I just don't see them being Lamar Jackson types, Joe Burrow types, Patrick Mahomes types. The narrative around Tua really annoys me because yes, Tua has been given all of this help. So was Jalen Hurts, and he was able to use that talent around him to get to the Super Bowl. but nobody knocked Jalen Hurts for having all of that talent like A.J. Brown around him. But we are doing that with Tua Tagovailoa. Like, people are just picking and choosing which quarterbacks they believe in. And I think people want to look really smart by saying, yes, Jordan Love, I'm going to pick this guy, because a lot of people probably aren't that super high on him. So I'll be the guy who says he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks. And then if he ends up being one, I look like a genius, and nobody is going to blame me if he doesn't end up being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I keep harping on this fact because I believe it to be true. People are in love with the narrative around Jordan Love like it's some underdog story or something. It's not, and I hate to break it to people. He was a first-round draft pick by the Green Bay Packers, and he got to sit a few seasons. This isn't some guy coming out of nowhere like Kurt Warner going from like Stop and Shop to being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Yes, Love is interesting because you could make the argument that more first-round draft pick quarterbacks should sit and wait, and that would do well for their overall development. But the story itself isn't like this amazing thing that I feel like broadcasters are trying to make it out to be. It's not that surprising that Jordan Love is already a decent quarterback, and I'm not ready to say he's a great quarterback. That's where I'm at when it comes to Jordan Love, and I feel like most people are on my side. I don't think most people would agree with Louis Riddick's take that he's the best quarterback in the NFC, or he's the quarterback you would take as the future of the NFC. That's hyperbole, and I don't think most people believe that. The people who love what's going on in Green Bay are the people who love this idea that the quarterback position is everything. Because look at the Packers' history. Brett Favre, he is the quarterback. He's the engine that makes that team run. Then they go to Aaron Rodgers. He becomes an all-time great quarterback, and that team is a quarterback or nothing team. And now people are acting like the same thing is happening with Jordan Love, and maybe it is, but maybe they should also, I don't know, build around the quarterback. Maybe the Packers should become a more modern franchise where they give Jordan Love the weapons like the Dolphins have with Tua. I mean, Tua's experience with the Dolphins isn't a bad thing. It's what teams should do with young quarterbacks. Not only give them a good head coach, but give them an elite number one wide receiver to throw the ball to. The Kansas City Chiefs, once upon a time, did that with Patrick Mahomes. They had him have Tyreek Hill. That is how you develop a young quarterback. So in today's NFL, nobody really is in competition with Patrick Mahomes for the number one spot as being the best quarterback in the NFL. What people are competing for, though, however, is who is the second best quarterback in the league. And although I believe the answer to the question is Josh Allen, you could also say it's Lamar Jackson. You could also say it's Joe Burrow. And I believe there are people out there who think that Jordan Love could emerge as the second best quarterback in the NFL. And I think one of the ways that one could emerge is to lead your team to a Super Bowl title. If Jordan Love leads his team to a Super Bowl title, and he is the biggest reason why they win the Super Bowl, yes, you can start to have those conversations that he's a top 5 quarterback or he's the second best quarterback in the league. But you could also have those conversations around Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, people just think that it's impossible for Tua to make that leap to be thought of as one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. And I just don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, he's a guy who's putting up the numbers, a 69 completion percentage. He's getting those 30 touchdowns. If he stays healthy, he's only going to get better and better. Like, I don't think we've seen the best of Tua Tagovailoa, and all of these people saying that the best of Jordan Love is yet to come. I feel the exact same way about Tua. And now I've seen a lot of Tua because I'm a fan of the Patriots, and he's beaten the Patriots every single time he's played them. I have been impressed with Tua Tagovailoa. I think there is something there. I think he is a good player. I think there's a reason he was a really high draft pick. Like, I just don't think this is a guy who's there for the ride. I think he's a big reason why the Dolphins have emerged as an interesting franchise. Now, I know that the knock against the Dolphins last year is that they were a bit of front runners. When they were playing bad teams, they would destroy them, and then they would have a tougher time against those elite teams. But if he could improve that, he would take his game to the next level, and he could get to this place that everyone seems to think that Jordan Love is at, he could be thought of as an elite quarterback. Like, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, there's a reason that the Miami Dolphins are giving him this big contract. It's not just because he's the only one that they have to play the position. I mean, how can you feel that way about him, but not feel that way about Jordan Love? Like, I just think that there's more similarities between these two than people want to admit. I mean, I always found it laughable when people would compare Tua Tagovailoa to Mac Jones. They were only doing that because both of those players played at Alabama. Tua has proven he's a way better pro quarterback than Mac Jones, weapons or no weapons. He is on that level with Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen Hurts went to the Super Bowl, so I understand people feeling that Jalen Hurts is way above Tua Tagovailoa. That's fair. Now, some people are down on Jalen Hurts. I don't understand the thinking that Jordan Love is way ahead of Tua Tagovailoa. I just don't understand it. My eyes don't tell me that. Both of them have had impressive moments. Both of them have been very good, and both of them have earned their contracts. Now, it just seems like more people feel that Jordan Love has earned his contract more than Tua, and I couldn't disagree with that more. These two quarterbacks are on level playing fields, and it's yet to be decided which one of them at the end of their careers is going to be thought of as the better quarterback, and it just seems like more people than not feel that the answer is going to be Jordan Love. I'm not saying I think the answer is going to be Tua. I'm just saying I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that it is Tua, and I just feel like Tua has become this weirdly underrated guy. He's putting up the numbers. He's playing for the Miami Dolphins. He's their best quarterback since Dan Marino. He has emerged. I think he is exciting to watch play the sport of football. Like, he plays at a really fast pace. And if your only argument why he isn't any good is because he has Tyreek Hill and he's throwing the ball to him and Jalen Waddle, then that's just pure nonsense. There have been so many great quarterbacks who have had great weapons. Nobody was saying that about Joe Montana having Jerry Rice. Like, the modern NFL of just saying this guy can't be thought of as super elite because he has elite talent around him is just ridiculous. And it's not really an argument as to why somebody isn't good. Yes, it's fair to say that Tua has not yet played great against the great teams. Now, that's the knock on him. If he could get better in that department, he could be thought of as one of those elite quarterbacks. My feeling is this, that Jordan Love is in just as good of a situation as Tua being on the Green Bay Packers. Again, this is a consistent organization. They seem to know what they're doing around there. Matt LaFleur is a really good head coach. I'm not sure he's one of the best. He's yet to win a Super Bowl, so I'm not going to be that high on him. But he went 3 years in a row where he won 13 games. I get it. This is what we love to do when quarterbacks get paid. We go, which one of these is overpaid and which one of these guys earn their money? And it just feels like a lot of people are like, Jordan Love has already earned his money after one season, and Tua, who's been here a few years, oh no, that guy's overrated. And I just don't think that's the case. I think both of these guys have earned their contracts, and I'm just as high as Tua moving forward as I am on Jordan Love. And maybe all of these Jordan Love people are going to end up being right. Maybe he is going to be on that Patrick Mahomes level, but can we wait and see? Can we give it 5 years? I mean, I'm just wondering what's going to happen if Jordan Love has an off year this year and the Green Bay Packers miss the playoffs. Are all of these people going to say they're wrong? No, because all of the people who were super high on Jalen Hurts have yet to say that they were wrong about him, because guess what? Maybe they weren't wrong about Jalen Hurts. 1 year doesn't mean anything in the NFL. It's about being consistent. That's what these quarterbacks who are at the highest level have. Lamar Jackson is consistent. Patrick Mahomes is consistent. Now, if Tua Tagovailoa and Jordan Love can become more consistent, they can be viewed as those higher level quarterbacks. As of now, both of them would be in my top 10, and both of them are promising young quarterbacks who are on the same level as one another. One of them has not emerged over the other. By the end of these contracts for these two, maybe we will know which one is is the better quarterback. I'm just kind of annoyed that we've all agreed that it's Jordan Love. Like, no, we haven't. I'm not on board with that. I think he had a very good season. Again, he got to sit a few years. He got to benefit from the fact that he sat and watched one of the all-time greats play the sport. Yes, I do think that's a good thing for him, and he's playing for the Green Bay Packers, one of the historically consistent NFL franchises, while Tua Tagovailoa has brought the Dolphins back to life after decades of mediocrity. Nonetheless, I'm excited to see both of these two play next season. Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so please rate, review, and subscribe.